Hi there everyone, I'm Danny and welcome to this episode of All Monsters Go to Space. Today I'm bringing you a seasonal video for December and we'll be covering multiple beings. The Yule Lads from Iceland, also known as the Yule Men and the Yuletide Lads. I've been wanting to cover these guys for a long while now, so I'm happy to have finally gotten to them. The Yule Lads are a group of 13 brothers who are trolls or giants in some versions, which come in many shapes and sizes. In the modern day, they are more benevolent and are said to bring little gifts to children, but only if they were good. If they were bad, they were given a rotten potato. All these gifts would be left in a shoe that would be placed on the windowsill. Now, trolls vary in Icelandic mythology. They aren't necessarily big, ugly brutes or beings made of rocks, and from what I've seen during my research, the word troll and giant are used interchangeably, but I will continue to use the word troll for these men. Also, I will predominantly be using the English translation of their names, as I don't speak the language and I don't want to butcher their names too much. I'll be using the names that come from the Yule Lads poem by Johannes at Kotlum and translated by Halvard Hjalmarsson, as these have become the most canonically accepted version of the names and descriptions. Now, these trolls were once described as being large, except for one, but we will come to him later, filthy and unintelligent. Some of them also had certain unique characteristics, like one had 2 wooden legs and another has a large nose, which proves very useful to him. Later, more modern legends have cleaned them up a little, and they are now described as being happy, smiling men with big bushy white beards, much like a certain jolly man who is attached to this time of year. They are all said to live together in the mountainous regions of Mývatn in North Iceland, more specifically in a lava fortress in the lava fields of Dormaburgir. Their mother was Grýla, another Christmas or Yule-centric figure. She would collect naughty children in a basket or a sack and then take them back to her mountain home and put them in her stew that would last her whole family until the next year. Their stepfather was Lepaludi, who is labelled as lazy or bedridden. He was Grýla's 3rd husband, who was said to fear his wife, and with good reason, as she may have eaten her previous husbands, although in some tellings of the myths he is their actual father and her only husband. The family also had a pet cat. We have covered this being in a previous video, the Yule Cat, or Jólakötturinn. This was a giant black cat who would wander into the villages and eat anyone, especially children, who didn't have any new clothes for the holiday. Now let's get back to the lads. They would come down from their home one by one, starting on December 12th, 13 days before Christmas. They were pranksters who came to harass as many people as they could in the 13 nights that they would stay for. Each had their own specific trait, and I'll get into those in a moment. They would also disappear when the sun rose because, if anyone has read or watched The Hobbit will know, they turn to stone when the sun touches them. So at least there is a few hours of respite out of the 20-ish hours of darkness a day during the winter. In their older myths, they were more mischievous, if not even deadly. Trolls are child-eaters after all. But in the late 18th century, the current king of Denmark, Christian VI, tried to ban the legend. Some places say it was because the legends were unholy and he was a very devout Christian man. Others say it was because it was too scary. These men, and especially their mother, was used to discipline naughty children. An example might be, if you're naughty, Grýla and the Yule Lads will turn you into stew. So their legend was turned down, and now they are just tricksters who are more of a mere inconvenience, that are both looked forward to and slightly feared, much like the Mari Lwyd. Let's start at the beginning, with the oldest brother, Stykkirstr, or Sheepcote-Clod. He would venture down from his rocky mountain home on December 12th. He would slowly travel through the snow in a stiff manner because he had 2 wooden legs, and he would head over to the underground areas where the sheep were kept during winter. Here he would steal milk straight from the sheep. The poor sheep could be heard bleating in terror. Sheepcote-Clod would appear each night until he departed on December 25th. The next night, Gilliagur, or Gilligor, would come. He was the biggest and strongest of the brothers and would bring a shovel with him to clear the snow. Gilligor would wait in nearby gullies, and where the residents were asleep, he would steal cow's milk, especially the foam on top. He came on the 13th to the 26th of December. Then comes Stufr, or Stubby. As his name may tell you, he is the shortest of the brothers, and in some places it's said that he requires a chair to reach the windows the shoes are kept on. He would steal pans to eat the crusts or leftovers on them. This would be very inconvenient indeed, as there weren't, and I believe still aren't, any iron reserves in the area, so iron pans were imported, making them very expensive. He arrived on the 14th of December and left on the 27th. Following Stubby came Throw-Rosh-Lickir, or Spoon Licker, another one whose name lets us know what he does. He is said to be very thin due to malnutrition, a rarity for trolls who are more often than not big. He comes down from the 15th to the 28th of December and roots through homes looking for spoons that may have leftovers on them. It has been said that he once used to suck his thumb, but his mother would scold him, and so he changed to spoons. On December 16th arrives Potaskafil, or pot scraper. He steals the leftovers from the pots that had been left unwashed overnight. I bet it was a bit of a fight between him and Stubby, if siblings I've known are anything to go by. He would eventually leave on December 29th. December 17th brought Askaslekir, or bowl licker. He would wait underneath beds, and when the residents of the home had fallen asleep, he would steal food from the askas, bowls with lids that would be left somewhere for later. He left on the 30th. Next up came Hertheskethir, or door slammer. Personally, I think he is one of the worst. He would move about the home slamming doors. This going on for 13 days would drive me mad. But this guy could be explained away by high winds blowing through the turf houses. He followed his brother back home on the 31st, New Year's Eve. Then came Skirgamur, or Skyr Gobbler. He would appear on the 19th and leave on New Year's Day. He would steal skyr, a very yummy yogurt-like food. Although this was and is eaten all year round, it is also a winter season staple. Also, milk wasn't as easy to come by in winter due to the darkness and the cold, and much like with the other milk and food stealers, they could be very problematic when sustenance wasn't as readily accessible. Next up is another food stealer, Bjugnakrakir, or sausage swiper. During the 20th of December to January 2nd, he would hide in the rafters and steal sausages when people were asleep or had their backs turned. I bet he loved the smoking sheds that people may have had, all those unattended sausages hanging there. The next brother is a bit creepier, Glugagayir, or window peeper. Between the 21st of December and January 3rd, he would wander amongst the houses and look through the windows to see if there was anything worth stealing. I don't even want to think about how terrifying this would be. You'd be looking out of your window onto a dark, snow-covered landscape, and then see a large troll face staring into your home. Scary. On December 22nd, Gatathafur, or doorway sniffer, would come into town. He had a large nose which he would use to sniff through the cracks of doorways to find leaf bread, a beautifully adorned thin circle of bread decorated with cuts or holes that looked like leaves, snowflakes, or other intricate patterns. He left on the 4th of January. The penultimate brother to arrive was Ketrakur, or Meat Hook. Sounds scarier than what he was. He would also lurk outside or in any nooks and crannies that he could find in the home, and use a long, thin hook to steal meat. He came on the 23rd of December and left on the 5th of January. And finally, there comes Ketersniker, or Candle Stealer. He arrived on Christmas Eve and stayed until January 6th. He would move through buildings stealing candles to eat. They used to predominantly be made of animal fat, and anyone still using tallow to make candles today needs to keep an eye out for this guy. Candles were very important before electricity. It would have been the only source of light in the dark hours, of which there were and are many. These beings to me seem like a very large inconvenience. Losing food during a time where it is harder to get more, and losing a product or products that could in the long run be detrimental to your livelihood, would honestly be very frustrating. I guess the Yule Lads may have been used to make sure the kids would clean properly and thoroughly, ate all their dinner, or would also be used to explain away creepy sounds and phenomena, and even as an excuse like, "No, I didn't eat the last sausage, it must have been sausage swiper," more unique than blaming it on the dog. These Yule Lads are such a staple of the Christmas period now, that some people may leave cookies or treats out for them, just like for Santa. People dress up as them for holiday festivals and events, and they can be found in various pieces of popular culture, although not all of them sometimes. They first appeared in the 17th century poem of Grilla, and then an author called Jon Arneson collected fairy tales just like the Grimm's brothers, and his 1862 collection features the Yule Lads. In 1932, Johannes Utkottlen had the poem Jolas van Visa, or Yule Lads, published in the book Christmas is Coming. In Extra Mythology, a video series on YouTube by Extra Credits covered the Yule Lads. The 2018 series The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina have them terrorizing the Spellman home in a Christmas special. They are included in the second season of the animated series Hilda, but they aren't Grila's sons but her unwilling servants. Drawfee on YouTube have both mentioned and drawn a few of the Yule Lads in a couple of their videos. Only Spoonlicker appears in the comic Klaus and the Witch of Winter by Grant Morrison. And last but not least, a 2020 Netflix film, The Christmas Chronicles 2, features them. If you wish to see the translation of the poem I refer to in the video, I will have left the link in the description section. If you know of any of the pieces of media that features these trolls, or if you know of different legends for these guys, let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and click the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video, in the comment section and on Twitter. Bye!